concluded our meeting. We had Kristen Michal, Minister of Interior, Lauri Läänemets, and the Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs, Liisa-Ly Pakosta, and we had the Prime Minister first. So, dear ladies and gentlemen of the press, so I hope you've all had a good holiday. Usually over the holidays the government does not meet. But this time we had a reason to get together. And to be frank, a lot of people started working with the Estlink 2 incident already yesterday. So people were having their holidays and parties. A lot of people started to work to find out what happened. So once we had established what is happening, then we need to continue. So this is what we had an overview in the government. So now I'm trying to give you this information as well. So in Estonian and Finnish press, the situation has been quite detailed, quite well described. So I'll give an overview and the colleagues will add, and then I can answer your questions. So first of all, ever since the incident, I have been in contact with the prime ministers of our neighbors. So ministers have been talking to their colleagues as well. And as we are here right now, we have other ministers attending different meetings. So in spite of their holidays, we know that the partnership in Europe is strong and ongoing. So in Europe and NATO, we have these communications going on. So we have a very active exchange of information with our partners. Most active communication we have had with the Prime Minister of Finland, of course, because Estonia and Finland are dealing with this incident together. So I would like to recognize Petteri Orpo and our colleagues in Finland. So I would like to recognize our Finnish colleagues for this quick operation. So we have some people speaking in the background since we have a lot of press present. So I would like to recognize our colleagues in Finland for their quick action. So this is the first time during these incidents where the guilty party, or let's say a suspect vessel, has been detained, and in order to carry out investigations, we have had first steps already taken. Finland has taken the lead in this investigation, as it has happened before, since it's on the Finnish side. So the Finnish will take the lead, but we'll be working together. So now for us, regarding these different points, what is important is to get answers to the questions regarding our security of supply and whether it's under threat. Then Elering and Eesti Energia companies have answered. They said the answer is no, because there are various reserve and backup power plants available. Elering has said that they are prepared for all the scenarios, and Eesti Energia has said that the same power plants which are in reserve right now are ready to operate once there is a need on the market. When you could talk about communication services, we have our Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs, but we have communication services provided and guaranteed. There is no obstacles to the use of internet, and we have various connections which are duplicated, so for a regular user there should be no issues whatsoever. So now, when it concerns the vessel which is flying the Cook Island flag, they have been detained, and well, there's important marker which is important for the public to know. So when it comes to this kind of vessels which have displayed poor navigation skills, and this is necessary vessel for the Russian shadow fleet, so they are helping Russia to earn their funds which will aid the Russian hybrid attacks. In the government we also discussed different steps, and I will just sum them up. I'm not going to read them out now, but the most important one is that we need to improve the monitoring and protection of critical infrastructure both on land and in sea. Our Navy and the allies have received their request for aid. So the allies have also helped us before, that they are sending additional ships here in order to monitor the infrastructure. So this means that we have better underwater and above water picture, so we know what is happening. So what is also very important to have a deterrent effect as well. So if there's a suspicion, if there's a critical situation, then we are capable of handling it. Then when it comes to the failure itself, then Elering has said that it might take up to 7 months to fix this problem. If it's we might be able to see the good results before that, but of course it's good if they're conservative. We managed to deal with the previous failure, we can manage with this one. What is positive is that based on the previous experience and risk assessment, we have also understood that we need to have a better cooperation when it comes to quick so rapid response when it comes to the failure of critical infrastructure. If you think back, then we've discussed it more than once, that every square meter or every meter of the seabed cannot be defended or guarded, and we need to succeed every time, while whoever is attacking it needs to only succeed once. And when it comes to critical infrastructure, it needs to be fixed as quickly as possible. With Finland, we have had an arrangement already half a year ago, when President of Finland had a state visit to visiting the Estonian president. We looked at the agreements which are being concluded now in different cooperation points, how we can fix our infrastructure faster. So before this incident, I made the same proposal to our colleagues in the Baltic countries and to the other countries around the Baltic Sea, so we can have a common toolbox for these kind of situations. In addition, we're developing different monitoring systems also in Estonia, so to have situational awareness at sea, and we have all this in cooperation with our allies and partners, and first of all with Finland. So in more generic terms, then the government has allocated many tasks to different parties, a few more bits of information. Then of course Estonia, with the allies and partners in the European Union and in NATO and everywhere else, we need to strive towards contemporary maritime justice, because today the situation is that the damage to this critical infrastructure is becoming more commonplace across the world. So we can't say it's a legitimate target, but there is a problem with it. So this is ongoing, and it's true for us, it's true for other seas as well. So that means that the states have to have a possibility to defend the critical infrastructure. We have to be able to stop these vessels, and we need to have opportunities to, in addition to deter and find out the guilty party. So this is one of the initiatives. The Minister of Justice and Minister of Foreign Affairs will need to lead on this. And Minister of Defense, this is the most important part, because our Navy, with our allies from NATO, will take a more active stance when it comes to guarding critical infrastructure. It includes monitoring and deterrence. And I want to say that in advance that not every meter can be covered every single day, but of course we can be more active when it comes to infrastructure protection. And of course, there's a whole list of different activities, but tonight with the European and NATO colleagues we'll be exchanging information. We'll do the same tomorrow. And the members of the government will also have exchange of information with other partners, and we'll be taking steps to make sure that we will have quick recovery and repair. So this was done last time, so the repair vessels had to arrive in time, and I would like to thank our partner who helped, and I'm sure they'll help again. That's it. Thank you very much. Minister of Internal Affairs, please. Good evening, everybody, and I hope you are all enjoying your Christmas holidays. And of course, I hope that the people who were injured yesterday in rescue operations, I hope they will recover quickly. So sometimes they do end up in difficult situations, so I wish them good speedy recovery. So coming to the topic at hand, so these frequent damage done to the Baltic Sea vital infrastructure cannot be accidental, random. They have become systemic, and we need to consider them as an attack against our infrastructure. And the infrastructure underwater is vulnerable, as we have a lot of cooperation with Finland, also with other Baltic Sea countries, in order to protect the underwater infrastructure. As the Prime Minister said, we are talking to our allies and partners in order to coordinate international cooperation. I also communicated with the Finnish Minister of Interior, with whom we discussed how we can proceed with the criminal proceedings and what is the situation today, and how we would to continue. So as the vessel is in Finnish waters today, and the Estlink 2 cable damage took place on the Finnish side, then Finland is responsible for the investigation, and our security police is cooperating with Finland in order to carry out this investigation. And we have agreed that as the Finns have boarded this vessel already and they are investigating, then everything which has to do with the communication cables, then Finnish will take the lead here as well, and we'll be supporting them every way we can. Now, in addition to the underwater infrastructure, then looking at the current situation, then we have to look at the land infrastructure as well. If we talk about the energy infrastructure, and if we think about the events planned for February, where we are planning our decoupling from Russian grid, preparing for the synchronization of the Baltic grid with the continental European systems, then the preparations are underway. The Police and Border Guard Board have determined the list of critical sites and plans for protecting them. So right now, we'll be moving on faster than planned, but the specific plan now, what does it mean if an area is under protection? Then this information is not public, as we can all already figure. And when it comes to security point of view, then we have 3 important activities we can mention in order for us to solve the situations today, and that will be faster and better in reacting to these kind of incidents in the future. And first of all, we have to make sure that we can prevent. The first, restoration and protection, both in sea and on land. Second, reducing the number of shadow fleet vessels, regardless what the measures are. So we have discussed these topics with different Baltic Sea countries, and this is where we need to take some steps. And third, creating possibilities and including legal opportunities to make sure that these kind of incidents will not take place again, and carry out with the proceedings faster than before, because international maritime law is providing us the framework, but this also concerns our vessels in other seas. But it will, of course, concern the security for the Baltic Sea countries, economic security, and our operating capabilities. So we have to find solutions, as it was necessary when we had the migration attacks, because migration attack was a new thing. We didn't really know how to react to that, but now this is something which we are handling. That's it from me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now the Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs. Thank you very much. I hope everybody's having good holidays. Now it is our task to make sure that the communications function. So although we have 3 cables connecting Estonia which have been damaged, and 1 cable between Finland and Germany, then communication companies have assured that this is Elisa and City Telecom have said that communication functions. I would like to stress that when it comes to communication cables, then the situation is actually pretty good, because we have had duplication several times over, and connecting Estonia is practically impossible. We can see this in Ukraine as well. We have learned from them a lot. So using satellites, it is possible to continue the communication network. As the previous speaker said, we need to pay attention to this kind of activities. In November, we know that Telia cable from Lithuania was disrupted. There was another one in Finland, and in October 2023 we had an incident in the Baltic Sea, which also concerned Elisa Estonia Finland third cable and Aurelian's Estonian Swedish cable. So the Minister of Justice and Digital Affairs have a task to make sure that the guilty party will be punished. Our prosecutor's office, in cooperation with this Finnish prosecution office since yesterday, have been working on this. As the Prime Minister said, Finland has taken the lead in this investigation, but we are ready to contribute in every way we can. So today we also looked at the penal code in Estonia. So when it comes to the damage done to vital communication services, we have Article 406, which have to become more stringent, and this is concerning two sections. This is one of it is deterrence. So that means that we don't have to verify whether there was an intent, because all the cables are visible on the navigation maps. Then regardless how this anchor was dropped from the vessel, and it has an impact right away when it comes to the speed, navigation of the vessel. So if the vessel continues, that means that we do not need to determine the intent anymore. Then I also believe that it's important to make sure that the punishment will be on equal footing with the similar incidents in aviation. The next point is cybersecurity, which is part of the land and sea connections. So this is something we shall review with the allies and other partners. Now, the Minister of Digital Affairs, or Communication Ministers, had a meeting in November. Already back then, we decided that we'll be operating jointly when it comes to security of underwater cables, because this is clearly of concern for everybody. Now, when it comes to the law of the sea, which the Prime Minister mentioned, then indeed the times have moved on. But Estonia definitely has to be one of the initiators for the updating of the law of the sea. This will not happen, of course, over the next few months when it comes to the updates, but the updates need to come from somewhere. So we have decided that the first steps will be made before February. So clarifying the law of the sea, that means that we'll be looking at the details to make sure that we are able to protect a vital infrastructure, because this is something which has not been of concern before, but it has to be clarified also in the legislation. But that's it from me for right now. Thank you very much. And now questions, please. Please introduce yourself. Channel 2. Urmas Paet from the Prime Minister's party has been very critical when it comes to Russia and China, saying that Russia and China are testing what does the European Union and the NATO will do regarding this damage. So because so far the EU and the NATO have really not done anything. So how would you comment that? Thank you. I would say that this is indeed the first time when a suspect vessel has been detained, because investigation is ongoing in Finland. So So Finland is working on this, so this is how it can be done also in the future. And of course, the way we see it, as I described, what the government is thinking, then when it comes to critical infrastructure, then the countries around the Baltic Sea should be more active. And what does it mean in practice is that our Navy, with our allies, is going to be more active when it comes to the critical infrastructure, looking after both monitoring and deterrence, perhaps more than they've been doing so far. So now if we were to ask whether the European Union and NATO have been active, then I would say that they've been fairly active, because maybe not everybody is aware of it. And one thing that what Estonia has been working on, since it is a huge environmental risk as well, so you can see the sea from our Stenbock house window, because we have the shadow fleet going through this area with the tankers full of oil, which this is how they finance their war, and we wanted to stop it for a while. And of course, Russia doesn't like it, and of course, they get extremely nervous in this regard. So if you don't really know what it is, what is ongoing, that Estonia is one of the most active countries. And Estonia is already checking the documents of the shadow fleet. We have boarded the vessels quite many times, and we will be more systemic in our approach in the future. The same, we also agreed with the we had the joint expeditionary forces meeting in Tallinn quite recently with 10 partners, and we had an agreement when it comes to the shadow fleet and stopping the operations. And of course, when it comes to different NATO activities, then we have to be more active when it comes to the protection of critical infrastructure, because just moments ago, the European Commission has made a statement which supports us and Finland, praises Finland, as I just did, that they've been very active when it comes to this vessel under suspicion, and they also condemn the operations of the Russian shadow fleet and attacks against the critical infrastructure. So it is certain that we'll be quite active. So more active monitoring, more active presence, more military vessels in the area of critical infrastructure, and in the future our initiatives as well when it comes to the law of the sea, because international law needs a review, because this kind of activities are becoming commonplace in many of the seas. And I also watched the Finnish press conference, and there was an opinion of the expert, because we need to be prepared that the similar acts will be undertaken in other seas as well, so we need to stop it as quickly as possible. Next question, please. Public broadcasting company. So maybe it's suitable to ask now whether Estonia should take steps to apply Article 4 consultations under the NATO agreement. So the moment we're done with the press conference, I will be talking with the NATO Secretary General. So we'll be discussing what we can do. And because communication between us on operating levels is ongoing, and we need to take a lot of steps. As I described, when it comes to the protection of the critical infrastructure, it's our defense forces and also using allies if necessary. So that means that Russia is attacking us constantly. So at which point we'll be calling this a terrorist attack against Finland and Estonia. So in this case, if you've been watching Finnish news, then the Finns say that first of all they'll carry out investigation and then you can attribute it. And we can say that the markers are the same for all the vessels, that these are the vessels which finance Russia, but of course Finland will carry out the investigation first. If I may, that not all the attacks can be called terrorist attacks, because we have to be very specific and we need to understand what exactly we're talking about. But hybrid attack is also an attack. So looking at the security situation today, it doesn't really matter if it's a military or hybrid attack. So it is an attack against someone or somebody. There is a target, and we should not forget that Russia as military actions against Ukraine and in Ukraine is not limited to Ukraine, but it's against the entire Western world, because we are the ones, and Estonia is one of these countries who are being quite vocal when defending Ukraine, and we are one of the leaders in this coalition. And so one of the Russians' objectives is to break as many allies of Ukraine as possible. So yes, indeed, we could call it an attack, because it's an attack against our critical infrastructures. And 3 times in 1 year, it's complicated to understand that it's a random accident. Yes, indeed, the investigation measures have not found out the specific details yet, but our power structures are not naive, so this is also true. So all these things need to have a response, and as the Prime Minister said, and as I said, the question is not about the moment of today. We know what to do. We'll repair the infrastructure. We know that investigation is ongoing. There is a lot more effort looking at the Finnish activities today. Comparing this to polar bear, then we can see there's a differences. But we need to know what the activities are to make sure that there is not much of a follow-up. So us, our allies in Finland, so we can see we have more vessels present, then of course it has an impact, but it comes to the law, the sea, all the laws which can be what we can do here, because Finns also agree that we need to well, perhaps we have to, maybe creative is not a good word for the legal system, but I'll give this comparison with the Bible, because the Bible is being translated every now and again, because the world changes and you understand these things in a different way. The world changes. Then we need to make sure that our international agreements are amended and maybe interpreted in a different way. We've talked about it, that we have deterrence, protection, attribution. All these words have been used. And attribution means that we need to find the link, that it was not an accident, it was not random. In the world where we live today, we want to make sure that it's a rule-based world, and we want to follow these rules as well. So when it comes to the law of the sea, we mentioned many times, then here we can see that Finland has amended the legislation, same for Poland. So we can have better investigation, and Estonia is going to do it as quick as well. But when it comes to deterrence and protection, then this can be done without attribution as well in a larger scale. Another thing, if we talk about the European Union, then repairs which need to be carried out as quickly as possible, then meeting with the Commissioner Virkkunen, then there was a confirmation regarding the support from the EU so that the repair vessels would come here. So this is one of the priorities. So European Union is also very useful. One question more. So this is a full tank vessel. So how long the Finns are able to hold this vessel? Is it sensible? And have we requested any assistance when it comes to NATO? Finnish investigation, or your Finnish colleague maybe can answer this question, how long Finns can hold this vessel. And the second point is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Defense will be discussing, and then we'll be talking afterwards with the Secretary General of NATO. So whether we want NATO to send additional vessels or additional vessels from their allies to make sure deterrence functions. Regarding investigation, then this will be done when everything is concluded. If it can be done fast and the questions are answered and the right people are allowed on board, then it should not take too long. But Finns are professionals, of course, they know what they're doing. And when it comes to this kind of important functions, then the crew or the vessel have to be ready to stay in these waters and answer the questions as long as necessary. Thank you very much. This is the end of the press conference. Interpretation is finished.